Hello, welcome, and thank you for attending today's ACT Success training brought to you by Keystroke. Today is the first session of these new training classes that Keystroke has started. We'll be doing these every month, I believe on the second Thursday of every month. So here at Keystroke, we really want to inspire and support our clients' ongoing success through quality software solutions and training sessions like this one. So hopefully this is going to be insightful and show you all a lot of kind of tips and tricks. And I just want to start by saying that we do have a lot of participants on these calls, especially on this one today. So everyone's line is muted to avoid any crosstalk and ambient noise and things like that. So there is a chat panel in your GoToMeeting seminar software there where you can type in questions along the way. I'll see those pop up, and I'll try to get to as many of those as possible during this presentation. We do have a limited amount of time. This presentation will last about an hour. So, if I don't get to everyone's questions within that time, you can certainly go to keystroke.ca, which is the Keystroke website, and contact us there with any additional questions about ACT that you may have. So let's go ahead and jump right into it and get started. So just a couple of quick things I want to go over first. Who I am, I'm Greg Davis. I'm in the ACT support group here. I do a lot of the trainings. I do a lot of our videos and things like that. I've been an ACT fanatic and a trainer since 2005, working on several different ACT teams. I even worked at the manufacturer Sage and SwiftPage for many, many years. So I'm happy to be over here at Keystroke helping our customers get more juice out of their contacts. So who's Keystroke? You probably already all know who Keystroke is. Most of you are subscribers of the ACT product. So just real quickly, Keystroke is the exclusive distributor in Canada and the exclusive distributor of the French version of ACT in North America. This company was founded in 1994 by Ken Quigley. A lot of you may know Ken. And we have grown to become the #1 reseller and servicer of ACT in the world. So you're at a good place with Keystroke. So today's agenda, it may look short on the screen here, but there's really a lot we're going to cover. I'm going to be exploring the interface and kind of showing you the contact screen, going through all the kind of little things you can do in there, exploring the navigation bar on the left-hand side of the screen. And those items have a lot of things to cover. So we will be touching on a lot of different things. I'll be showing you a lot of little tips and tricks maybe that you don't know about on how to efficiently use ACT a little bit better. All right, so let's go ahead and jump right into it here. I am just going to close down this PowerPoint and jump right into the product here. So this is my desktop. I do have the newest version of ACT, version 21.1 installed. So this is the interface for ACT version 21. A lot of you may be on older versions of ACT. Every year the manufacturers updates this product with new features, and I think the latest update made it look a little prettier. But there's usually not a big learning curve when you upgrade ACT. We try to keep it the same way as much as the manufacturer possibly can every year. So ACT has been around for over 30 years now. A lot of you didn't know that. ACT really created this industry. It was the first one of its kind for contact management on the market. So, it's a lot of the other companies out there have really just copied what ACT has done. So ACT is not going anywhere. It's been around since the beginning, and we plan on it being around for a long time. All right, so first thing I want to show you here is the left navigation bar over here on the left-hand side. This is a place where you can go to navigate to different areas of ACT. As you can see, contacts and groups and companies. So this is a good place to begin navigating around. I really wanted to start by showing you this welcome screen. So over here on the left navigation bar, when you click welcome, it brings you to this page. This is a very helpful page. You should probably keep this in your back pocket because this page does allow you to get to a lot of help places. Right here. These are training videos. So the manufacturer has produced a lot of different training videos that you can go here kind of pick and choose what feature you want to learn more about, and watch a real quick 1 or 2, 3 minute video on that feature. There's also how-tos here, step-by-step instructions on how to do things in ACT, the extensive knowledge base, which has thousands of articles on how to do a lot in ACT and other things. The ACT community is here. This is a place where ACT users post questions. It's kind of like an ACT forum. They post questions, and other ACT users chime in and answer questions, and the manufacturer even chimes in here and answers questions as well. So just a lot of good places to keep in mind. You know, if you want to learn a little bit more about ACT, maybe things I didn't fully cover in this, you can certainly get to these training videos and other areas here by accessing this welcome screen on the left-hand side. So I always like to kind of start with that because this does give you a lot of other help. Certainly you can call into Keystroke. We have people on staff who can help you as well, answer questions and things like that. All right, so I want to really start in the contact screen. So I am going to click the left navigation bar here over on contacts. This will take us into the contact table of ACT and show us contacts in the database. So let me actually, I'm going to get into lookups a little bit on different ways how to do lookups in ACT. Right now I've actually created a lookup, so it's only showing I've got one contact in ACT. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to lookup and choose all contacts. This will bring my whole contact list back into view, and then I can see really every contact that I have in the ACT database here. So this is what's called the list view. Most of these screens here have both list view and detail view. List view will allow you to get a list view of all the contacts that you see, or the groups or the companies or stuff like that. So this is kind of like an Excel spreadsheet right here, obviously with columns along the top that are sortable. You can click on these columns to sort by date or sort in alphabetical order by their last name or the company name or whatever you want. This can also be customized to add additional fields along the top here so you can sort by different fields. That can be accomplished by clicking this options button on the right and then choosing to customize columns. This will bring up a page with all of your fields over here on the left, and then the fields that you have showing here in the list view. So if I wanted to also maybe add their social security number to this list view, I can easily just select that field, push it over to the right-hand side, and then obviously move it wherever I want to on the screen. So if I wanted it as the first column, I would move it all the way to the top. And then when I click OK, we're going to see the social security number field pop up right here. This database I'm in is a dummy database, so there's not a lot of real data in here. I don't think I have any social security numbers, but just wanted to show you that's a way you can customize and view the list view for contacts. And you do have the ability of exporting to Excel with this button right here. All right, I really want to focus on the contact screen itself. So what I want to do is I'm going to pull up a record in ACT, and from this list view, I could certainly find any record and just double click on it. That will get me into, for instance, Mary Bailey's record. So if I double click this line, this will take us into the detail view of Mary Bailey's contact record. So this is kind of what I'm going to be showing you today, is a lot of this contact screen and a lot of the things you can do in the contact screen. This is really where most people live and spend most of their time on contact records like this, making changes, doing everything you need. Now we try to keep things simple. We try to keep everything in one place, unlike a lot of other systems out there. So the ACT screen here is broken down into two parts. The top half of the screen, these are all your basic fields. Your layout will probably look a lot different. Everyone customizes the screen a little bit differently based on their industry. So that is real simple to do. You can change all this stuff around, move these fields, add your logo up at the top, create your own custom fields based on your industry, and really arrange the screen however you want with fonts and colors. And Keystroke does provide services like that as well. If it's something that you want help customizing your screen and get it all colored and all the right fonts and get your logo and put all your fields in the right places. It's a real simple process to do that, but a lot of people would just rather have us do it for them. So if that's something you need done, certainly go to keystroke.ca, talk to someone there. We can certainly talk to you about getting yours set up the way you want it. That's a great thing about ACT is it really can fit any industry because you can change this around to fit your industry and get the fields that you want on the screen right in front of you. And that's unlike a lot of other systems out there where you may have to scroll around to find what you want. So again, the top half of the screen contains all the basic fields that you want to see right up front. The bottom half of the screen contains tabs that holds additional information about this client. So really everything I need to know about Mary Bailey can be found right here, in some of the fields along the top or in some of these tabs along the bottom. These tabs are also customizable. You can add your own custom tabs with more fields in those tabs. And you can do a lot with these tabs down here. I will be going through these tabs and showing you some tips and tricks on how these work and how to use all those tabs as well. But again, this can all be changed around really to fit your industry. And these two screens can be, you can drag this up to get more information to see down at the bottom, drag it back down to, again, see more information along the top of the screen. So fully customizable to really fit the way you do business and get the stuff on the screen that you want to see. All right, I want to kind of go over some of these tabs down at the bottom, show you what they do, what data's in them, how to use them, things like that. And I think you'll probably, when I do this for a lot of people, they always find things they didn't know about and see me doing things that they didn't know was possible. So hopefully this will give you some insight and a little tips and tricks on how to effectively manage ACT a little bit better in your business. All right, so let's go over a lot of these tabs and just kind of show you what they do and what's in them. So this right here, this is the Notes tab that I'm on. This is a place where you can just add free-form notes. It's really as simple as that. So when you're adding data to these tabs down here, the data will get automatically date and time stamped, and it'll give you the contents of the data and which user actually entered it. And on that note, I want to pull up a different record. Mary Bailey doesn't have a lot of good data, so it's not a good example for me to do. So let me show you a couple different ways that you can do lookups to pull up people in ACT. I think you'll find some tips in here you didn't know about. So most people use this search over here on the left-hand side. This lookup right here. So you can see this drop-down box. This is where you can drop down to choose what field you want to search in. All of the fields in your ACT database will be listed here. So in this example, I just want to search someone's name. So I want to search in the contact field. That is this field that holds the name Mary Bailey. In this case, I want to look for Eric Johnson. I work with Eric Johnson a lot. I know he's got a lot of good data on that record, so I want to do that. So this is just one of many ways to do a lookup. So I'm just going to type in Eric J. This lookup contains lookup. So it will find any records that contains the data Eric J. So it could find Eric Johnson, it could find Eric James, it could find Eric Johannesson, could find Frederick J. But in this database, I happen to know it's probably only going to find one or two records. So I'm going to go ahead and type in that and then hit go. I could certainly type in the whole name if I wanted to, but that's good enough. So I'm going to click go now. Now it's going to look through the entire database and find any records that match that criteria. As you can see, it did find Eric Johnson. If it had found other people that matched that record, like if I had Eric James in this database, it would have found Eric James too, and it would have given me a list view of all of the records that it found. In this case, it only found one, so it jumped me right to Eric's detail view. That certainly is a little bit helpful. All right, so here's the Eric Johnson record, and now I'm going to talk about some of these tabs. Now we've got some data that I can kind of explain. So again, when you're entering data into these tabs, they will get date and time stamped. It'll give you the contents of the note that was added and which user on your team actually added that note. So, if you're on a team of multiple people who are all sharing a common database together, everyone has their own login name when they get into that master database. So, and that's what's recorded here under Record Manager. I'm the only user of this database, so it's all me here. But if I had other people accessing this database and entering notes, you would see their name here. So this is a great place to go to see who's entering notes, see what kind of notes have been entered, when they were entered. Entering a note on an account, and again, this is just a place to put in free-form notes. This can be really used for anything. I see a lot of people use it for a lot of different things, just to put whatever they want in there. Entering a note can happen a couple of different ways. I can click this button right here to insert a new note on the Notes tab, or I can use one of these big buttons up here. So you do have a lot of big buttons up here. These buttons along the top, these big buttons as they're called, will change depending on what area you're in over here in the left navigation pane. So for contacts, if I wanted to add a note, again, I could click this note button, or I could click this big note button up along the top. I also want to mention that all of the menu items that you see along the top will also allow you to do everything. That's something a lot of people don't know. So I urge you to go through these menu items and look at all the things that you'll be able to do. Some of the things you can do in the menu, you can't really find inside of ACT itself. So you may want to look over these menu items and kind of see what other kind of things that you're able to do. For instance, going to File. I can go to File right here, do an import, or back up my database, or restore an old database. So again, these menu items really are helpful, and they give you a lot of things to do. Anything you want to do can be done from these menu items as well. So again, entering a note, simple as clicking a button here or clicking a button up here. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to click Add Note. This will bring up a blank note. Now, as you can see, it's already linking it to Eric Johnson because I'm on Eric's record. I always urge that to people. If you're going to perform an action, go ahead and go to their record first. That will make it easy because it's then going to automatically link that person to whatever action you're performing. So I'm just going to type in some notes. Hi, talk to Eric, all good, or whatever you want. And I'm going to click OK, and you'll be able to see that this new note, is now added right here. Date and time stamped with today, what I typed in there, and which user actually typed that in. Okay, free-form place to put any kind of notes you want. I forgot to mention lookups. I wanted to show you a couple other ways to do lookups. I showed you this lookup right here on the left-hand side. You also, like I mentioned, have this menu up along the top for lookups, where you can look up a contact name or a company name or first, last name, phone number, or other fields. If you have another field that you want to search in, like social security number, that'll be listed under this, and you can do searches that way as well. Lastly, the way that I prefer to do searches is by right-clicking. So in any of these fields, you can actually right-click to do a search. Let me get off of Eric Johnson's record. Sorry, I'm trying to get back to Mary. These buttons up here also are kind of like web browser functionality, where you can go back to the last place you were or forward to the place you were before that, or click this little button to find all the ones you were at. So I'm just going to go back to Mary Bailey here, because I want to show you my favorite way of doing lookups, which is right-clicking. So if I want to look up someone's name, I don't necessarily have to type it over here. I can just right-click in this contact field. Now you've got this option here to look up contact or anything. If you want to look up their phone number, you can right-click and say look up phone number. So let's do that. I'm going to right-click and say look up contact, and I want to look for Eric Johnson. I want to pull up Eric Johnson's record. So I'm going to type Eric J, or whatever you want to search for. It could be just Johnson. Now I have it set as my operator to start with. So this search will look for anything that starts with Eric J, unlike the contains search over here that looks for anything that has Eric J in it, which could equal Frederick James. So I'm going to do a lookup to anything that starts with Eric J. There we go. There's Eric Johnson's record. So those right-click lookups, that's how I prefer to do it. A lot quicker. A lot of people don't know about that. So hopefully that was a little tip for you. Looks like we do have a question. I'm going to see if this is something that I can get answered for right now. I have ACT Cloud, but I believe installed the local client, if that makes sense. And my question, if I am cloud, which I believe I am, I would not need to do a backup. That's true. Yes, if you're ACT Cloud, that means that someone is hosting your database. Most likely, that hosting company does back up your database, but you're going to want to check with them. There's a lot of hosting companies out there, and we don't know how they all kind of manage their databases. But yes, us here at Keystroke, we do host and we do backups every day. So you don't necessarily need to back up your database. Good question. Yep, Keystroke is your host. Okay, yeah, we back up that database every single day, so you don't have to worry about it. All right. So I talked about the Notes tab and what kind of data you see there. Talked about doing lookups and things like that. So let's move on to the History tab. The History tab, this is probably one of the most important tabs in ACT. Probably one of the tabs you will be in most often. History is a tab that will store information automatically because you perform some kind of action. That's what's great about this History tab. A lot of people do their reports out of the History tab because of how much data it will automatically store for you. As a matter of fact, all of this stuff will get tracked automatically by ACT under this History tab. So activities histories, or if you're clearing activities off of the calendar, it will move those into history automatically after it's cleared, so you have record of that history happening. Attached files, emails that are going out, email marketing campaigns, sales opportunity histories, and system changes. All this stuff gets tracked automatically in ACT. Now, you can certainly create histories manually if you like, but I'll show you that in a second. But let me show you this. So these are some field changes that were automatically tracked. So this person was in the database on this date and the time, and they made a change to a field from nothing to this. So ACT can track field changes and be able to tell you who made that change in the field on your team. This was a meeting that was held. So this was an activity that was on my calendar at some point, and I cleared that activity, which created an automatic meeting history in this history table, which then can be reported on. Here's an email that was sent out. We could spend a lot of time talking about this, but I kind of want to just breeze over this a little bit. ACT does integrate with Outlook, meaning that once you've integrated ACT and Outlook, emails that you're sending out of Outlook will automatically attach here onto the person's record that matches that email address. So here's Eric Johnson's email address. If I send an email out of Outlook to this email address, it will attach back in ACT automatically with the date and time stamped, with the contents of the email, and which user actually sent that email out. So everybody loves that feature. I do too. I don't have to look back through my Outlook to find an email. If someone's asking me about it, I can find it right in here. That makes things a lot easier for me. Looks like we do have another question. I'm going to see if I can get this answered. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time answering a bunch of questions because I don't want us to go over and not get to the end of my presentation. So let's see here. Another question about cloud. Person's asking, how is it I have cloud but locally installed client? Okay, so ACT Cloud gives you a couple options, and it's up to you how you want to use it. If you sign up for the ACT Cloud, that gives you the ability of accessing your database through a web browser over the internet, meaning you can go to any computer in the world that has an internet connection and a browser and get to your database over the web to do anything you want, to work in your database and to perform all the actions. Now, think about this. If you don't have an internet connection, how are you going to get to your database that way? You're not. So that's what's good about having also a locally installed client. That client of ACT on your machine has a copy of your database in there that you can access on your machine locally without an internet connection. So if you're in an airplane, you don't have an internet connection, you still have access to your ACT on your computer. You can make changes to that database, and then when you get back down to Earth, get an internet connection, and you sync that information up to the cloud where your main database is. So that's one of the benefits of having what's called a locally installed client, is so you can access it offline. Good question. Another question, if you delete the email from your Outlook, will the email attached in your Act be deleted too? Great question. No, it does not. That's the great thing about that also. You can totally remove Outlook off your computer and all those attached emails will still be in Act. It's a great thing. There is another question here, it looks like about Outlook. Can Act email via Gmail? Yes, there is some integration with Google, if that's what you're talking about. So yes, you don't necessarily have to integrate with Outlook. There are features in Act that will also allow you to integrate with Google online. So under the Tools menu, you will say this integrate with Google. This is where you can set it up, and then it will integrate with your Gmail or whatever email address you have set up in Google. Those emails can be synced into Act and attached to records as well, just like Outlook. Outlook works a little better in my opinion because they attach immediately. With the Google integration, that's kind of set up on a sync to sync every so often, so your emails don't attach automatically. Works a little bit different. I suggest using Outlook if you can. That Google integration will break when Google changes their website and stuff, which happens quite often. It's not something that can't be fixed, but you know that happens more often than any problems with Outlook. So hopefully that answered the questions. All right, so I was talking about history, talking about the different things that go into history. Again, history is a great tab just to get a holistic look back on everything that's happened on this record. Now you can also create manual histories if you'd like. So you can click this new history button and do whatever you want. I mean, you can click this to add an entry into history if you prefer to do that as well. But history can track things automatically, so just remember that. Here's another question. Would like to generate opportunity reports with a specific ability to do the following. Show me new opportunities since I ran my last opportunity report. You can run opportunity reports based on dates. So the answer is yes. You would just run an opportunity report and choose the date range you want to run that in. Yes, you can. And again, you may want to go look at the welcome screen here in Act and go to those tutorials. There are tutorials on reports and opportunities and all that. So that might give you a little better clarity on how exactly to do that. I'm not going to be going through a whole lot of opportunity stuff. I could spend 2 or 3 hours on opportunities alone and reports alone. So we won't get that deep into that this time in this presentation. This one's really meant to just kind of give you an overview of the interface, show you a lot of the things that it can do. All right, History tab. I think I've explained everything about the History tab and what you'll find here and how it can be used. And I'll say that these tabs, the data in these tabs, can be sorted and filtered by these columns as well. So if you're looking for something specific on a specific date, you can sort by date like I'm doing. You can sort by these other things as well. Record Manager, maybe see the stuff that the users are putting in, stuff like that. And obviously you can run reports. People use this history to run reports all the time to see what things are being completed, what activities are being completed, what emails are being sent out, things like that. So again, history is probably one of the most important tabs you'll be using a lot. All right, moving to activities. This activity tab is showing us the activities that are all linked to Eric Johnson. Again, everything you see in these tabs right here are all related to Eric Johnson. Now, we do have global information as well, like the global calendar, which I'll get into, which will show you all the activities on the calendar with all the clients. But what I'm seeing here is just the activities linked to this one client that I'm looking at right now. So we can see he's got a lot of activities scheduled. Looks like a lot of them are past due. But again, remember, this is a demo database. I don't really manage this too much. It's for demos and stuff like that. But so creating activities can happen in a number of different ways. What I prefer to do when creating an activity is, again, pull up the person's record first. It's a big key to remember. Always go to the person's record first that you want to perform an action on. It'll make things easier for you. So I want to schedule something for Eric Johnson in a week. I will go to Eric Johnson's record. I'll go to the Activities tab. And then there's multiple ways of scheduling. I can click one of these big buttons along top to schedule a call or a meeting or a to-do. But what I prefer to do is actually right-click in a blank area of the Activities tab, and I go to Schedule, and now I can choose to schedule a call or a meeting or to-do or even other types. You can actually create your own industry-specific activity types if you like as well. So I'm just going to schedule a call. I'll click Call, and we'll see the Schedule Activity window pulls up with everything you would expect when scheduling an activity. It's already linking it to Eric Johnson, again, because I'm on Eric's record. So again, I want to keep stressing that. Go to the person's record first if you want to perform an action for the person, a new action for the person. So start date, start time, I'm just going to put it to tomorrow or next week. We'll do next week. This time, 3:30. What is it regarding? The house purchase. And again, you can see it's linking to Eric Johnson already because I'm on his record. I can also choose resources and change priorities. I can even change colors, maybe to make it a little more visible on the calendar. I can also schedule for other users. Act Premium gives you the option of clicking this and maybe delegating this to another user on your team. These are all the people that access this shared database. So if I want, Fred on my team to make this call to Eric about the house, I can do that. And this will then schedule it on behalf of Fred, and it'll put it on Fred's calendar to remind him, hey, you got to call Eric this day. I can also ring alarms. So if I want this alarm to remind Fred an hour before or a day before, I can choose one of these to remind him. We'll just say, a day before, maybe to make him aware that this is coming up. Then there's some tabs along the top here. Details tab just allows you to type in free-form notes, maybe to remind you about what this is about later when it comes up. You can also set recurring activities in Act, just like you can with Outlook, monthly, weekly, daily, yearly recurring activities. You also have the ability of seeing other people's availability. So as you can see, because I scheduled this for Fred, I am now seeing Fred's calendar here. So I know that he will be available at this time. There's nothing on his calendar that day. So we're good to go. So I've scheduled this. I've put in everything I want. I'm going to click OK. And now we will see this new activity pop up, and there it is right there. And this will show up for Fred also, my colleague Fred. It'll show up on his calendar so he knows this is going to happen. And I set it to alarm him in a day. So the day before that, it's going to pop up for him saying, hey, you got to talk to Eric tomorrow about purchasing the house. All right, so we're about halfway through. I'm going to push forward a little bit here, try to get through the big things that I wanted to. Sales opportunities. This tab here will track all the sales opportunities linked to Eric Johnson. Again, there is a global opportunity list, so you can get lists and report of all the opportunities in your database and create a pipeline, things like that. And again, opportunities, this is a very powerful feature. I could spend hours and hours talking about this, so I'm not really going to get a deep dive in opportunities today. We'll probably set that for another one of these training sessions, but this is a great place to see what things Eric is interested in purchasing or maybe has purchased. All these items that show the status open, these are deals that me or my team is working on to sell Eric something because they're marked open. Here's one that's marked closed won. So I know just by looking at this, Eric bought this. This was an item we had as an opportunity that Eric ended up purchasing because I closed it as one. But these open ones are still in works. Eric looks like he's looking to buy a lot of stuff from us. So someone will be tracking those opportunities and working with Eric on them, working through the opportunity stages and getting the sale done. So this was designed to track sales and help you build pipelines in Act and do reporting and pipeline reports and opportunity sales reports on what closed last month or what's coming up in the future, so you can do forecasting. And again, just an extremely powerful tool for sales organizations to take full to use to help grow their business. All right, so let's move on. Documents tab. This is a place where you can attach any type of file. It's really that simple. Any type of file can be attached here onto Eric's record. And it doesn't have to be a document. It could be anything. It could be a picture. It could be a movie file. It could be anything on your computer. It can be attached to this record and then pulled up by other users to be able to see this file. So if I double clicked on this PDF or text file, it would pull up that text. I would be able to view it and even edit it if I have the rights to do so. And you can attach as many files as you like here. You also have the ability of attaching, the physical file, a shortcut to the file that maybe resides on your network somewhere, or a shortcut to the folder that holds a bunch of files on your network. You can even attach links to documents online, like Google Docs or Dropbox or whatever. If you have the URL for that file, you can actually attach that here as well. It's a great place to attach and store documents for Eric Johnson. All right, groups and companies. This is a tab that just shows us what groups and companies Eric Johnson belongs to. And I'll get into groups and companies here next. This is just a tab that kind of gives you an overview of who he belongs to as far as groups and companies. And again, I'll explain groups and companies here shortly. Secondary contacts. These next two tabs are kind of related, so I'm going to kind of breeze over these as well. Secondary contacts, this is just a line of data right here. So in this case, I've added Jim, which is Eric Johnson's help desk support guy. Maybe I need to talk to Eric's IT person every once in a while, so I've just added his name here. Jim does not have a record in ACT like Eric does. This is just a line of data that I can refer to at any time, and I can add as many secondary contacts to every record as I like. Looks like there is another question. Let me see if I can answer this one right now. The question is, can you attach documents to company only, not to individual? Yes, you can. You can actually, on the contact record, on the company record, has these tabs as well. Let me real quickly show you. So I'm going to click on companies over here on the left, which will get us into the companies table and the company view, which is much like contacts. So on the left are all my company records, and yes, we are looking at this company, Ace Pet Store Franchises. So there is a documents tab right here where you can attach documents to company records as well. I hope that explains it, and I will explain more about companies here briefly. All right, back into contacts. I explained secondary contacts, how this is just a line of data. Now I can give Jim a record in ACT if I want to, just by clicking this promote button, and then Jim will also have a record in ACT, just like Eric Johnson does. But you may not always need a record for someone, so you do have this available. The relationships tab, this is similar to secondary contacts. But this is a place where you can actually link records back and forth and make a bridge to jump back and forth between records in ACT. So instead of having to do a whole new lookup, I can easily now jump to other people's records. So maybe George Agan here is related to Eric somehow. Maybe they're colleagues. Maybe I'm talking to Eric and he asks me something about George, his colleague. Did you send that email to George? Did George get that document also? Well, instead of me having to go do a lookup on George Agan, I've got him linked right here. So I can just click this hyperlink, which will take me directly to George Agan's record in ACT. And now I can look up and answer the questions Eric asked me. Did I send that email out to him? That would be under history. No. Does George have that document you're looking for? No. So easily, now I have those questions answered without having to go do a lookup. And now I can go back to that relationships tab, and you can see Eric Johnson is linked here. So I can click here and get back to Eric Johnson's record in a flash. And you can add as many relationship links you want as to every record as well. All right, these next two tabs, social updates and web info, these are web pages built into a tab that can automatically do lookups over the web for some data that maybe resides in the top half of the screen. So web info, let me show you this. And again, this is a web browser. You can see that I have Facebook selected right here. So it's already gone out to Facebook. I'm not logged into Facebook, so it's really not doing anything right now. But if I was, it would have done a search on the data in this contact field and showed me all the Eric Johnson on Facebook. Then I can find Eric Johnson's Facebook page and look at his social updates. Google driving directions. Google Maps. You've probably figured this out already. If I click on Google Maps, it's going to go out and do a search on all of the address fields up along the top here. And as you can see, it's already done that. It's already mapped out Eric's address for me. and I can get driving directions based on where I am to Eric Johnson's address as well. So this is just kind of a quick time saver as well. I don't have to leave ACT to go type in, maps.google.com or whatever, wait for that to load, do a search on the whole address. I don't have to do any of that. ACT is doing it for me here. Same thing with these other websites. LinkedIn. This will take me to Eric Johnson. Well, it's going to do a search on LinkedIn for anyone with Eric Johnson name, and I can look at their professional profile. Weather. This is going to go out to weather.com if I click here and do a search on the weather in the zip code that's listed here. Great time saver. And this is editable as well. So, maybe you have your own industry-specific websites you go to a lot to do lookups on people or look up their social security number information or whatever you want. You can add those URLs here and then make it do searches on any of the fields in ACT. So you can kind of see how Facebook works. It's going out to facebook.com, doing their default search, and then pulling data from this contact field that has the brackets around it. So you could probably sit up nights thinking of different ways to use this. I know that I sure have. Now this isn't always the best because this does searches every time. So when I go back to Facebook, it's going to start another search on the name Eric Johnson. Now I have to go find his Facebook page again so I can see his social updates. There may be 100 Eric Johnsons on Facebook, so that's not always helpful. Social updates tab right here. This is what's good about this. This allows you to bookmark their Facebook or LinkedIn page. So the first time you come here, it's going to do a search on their name. And then once you find the correct page, you can then click remember this page. So the next time you come here, it'll take you directly to his Facebook or a LinkedIn page. Oh, I actually have Eric Johnson's LinkedIn page. Oh no, I did a search. You can see here, it found 5,300 Eric Johnsons. If this was the right one, I could click that and I click remember this page. So next time I come here, it's going to take me directly to this one instead of doing that search every time. And this only works with Facebook and LinkedIn on the social updates tab. It's like we got a question. Question is, can you use Google Alerts to the company? I do not know what that means. If you could clarify that. I don't know what Google Alerts are, and I don't know what you mean by Google Alerts to the company. So maybe if you could clarify that, we'll wait for you to type something else in there. All right, moving on. Personal info tab. This is just a personal information, basically. Oh, it looks like there's an answer to that, a clarifying answer to the question. So if you have Google Alerts by the company setup informing new activities, if you have Google Alerts by the company setup informing new activities, yeah, I'm not really sure what you mean by that. It doesn't ring a bell, so I've got to say no. ACT can't do anything like that. I'm not really sure what that means, but I've been doing this for 15 years. I've never had a question like that. I've never heard anything about Google Alerts in ACT, so I've got to say no. But certainly, you could go to the knowledge base and probably find the answer, or even the community that I was showing you on that welcome page. If you go to the ACT community, someone else may have the answer. And also, there are tons of add-ons for ACT. So there may be an add-on out there that will do something, what you're describing that ACT can't do out of the box. Keystroke does produce and sell a lot of great add-ons. So keep that in mind. Go to the keystroke.ca website. Look at the add-ons they have. They have a lot of free add-ons as well, but there's a lot of tools that will allow ACT to do things it won't do out of the box. That may be something out there to do. Hopefully that helps. Sorry I couldn't answer that definitively, but I don't think it's something ACT can do out of the box. All right, personal info tab. This is just personal information about the contact. Looks like we've got another question here. We've got about 15 minutes left, so I don't know how many more of these questions I'm going to be able to answer. Hopefully this will be a quick one. Going back to the relationship tab, when creating a new contact, can you create the link when you create the new contact, or is it something you do after the contact is created? Yeah, it's something you do after the contact is created. If you don't have a contact here, if there's no name here, and you click that social updates oh wait, you're talking about the relationships tab. Oh yeah, sorry. Um, Creating new contact. Can you create the link when you create the new contact? No, the link doesn't get created automatically for this relationships because, well, ACT doesn't know who you want to link to, right? So yes, you do have to create these manually by clicking this relate contact button. And in picking the contact list, picking the contact that is listed in ACT that you want to link it to. Another question, can ACT send out automated emails to the clients? ACT does have mail merge. It's not automated. ACT does have marketing automation. That is a true full email marketing service. That can be automated. So the answer is yes, but you have to have a subscription ACT marketing automation in order for you to automate emails to go out. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. That's something else I could spend hours and hours on marketing automation. We're going to have another seminar like this that's kind of going to probably focus in directly on ACT marketing automation to get you more information about that. All right, another person says, your ACT page has more on it than mine shows. Yep, I bet you that's true. Again, as I said in the beginning of this presentation, you can customize the screen however you like. If you want to add 100 fields to this view, you can certainly do that. So everyone's ACT does look a little bit different. I've added a lot of extra fields, and not even a lot. I mean, I've seen people that literally have hundreds and hundreds of fields on this screen. So yes, mine will look different than yours for sure. All right, moving on. Personal info I was talking about. This is a place just has personal information about the contact. You know, home addresses, personal email addresses, spouse name. It's even got a birthday age calculator that'll calculate automatically every year based on the date and today. And there's photo fields as well. So if you want to add some photos in ACT, you can do that. And again, highly customizable. I can change all this stuff around. If I want to pull all these fields and stick them in the top half of the screen, I can certainly do that with the layout designer that's included with ACT. Contact access. This is a tab that's just kind of, it's almost like an administration tab. It shows you, when this record was created. It shows you which user on your team created this record. It shows you when it was edited last, which user on your team edited it last. That was me because I added that note earlier. So it said I was the last one here and I did something on this record. It also shows the record manager. So this is a field this is a list of all the people in my ACT database. If you want someone to manage this record, this would be a good place to do that. Maybe say, this is Fred's account. Fred manages this. And you can, of course, do a lookup, like I said, on any field. Right-click, do a lookup on Record Manager, and I can find all the accounts where this field equals Greg Davis or Fred or whatever, and see all those accounts that they manage. And then there's some security levels here. Public, private, and limited access. There's a lot of security in ACT that allows you to do a lot of different things. Public means all of my users have access to this record and can get to it and see whatever they want. Private means only this record manager can see this record and no one else can. So really only use this if you want to put in family members, things like that. Because no one else can see this record. No one else will be able to get to it if you mark it as private. And then there's limited access, which is an additional security feature that ACT Premium gives you that will allow you to define who gets to see this record or who doesn't. So you can actually set up teams of people to be able to access the record, and other people can't access this record. Or you can set it up so everyone can see this record, but maybe 4 people can see it but can't make any changes to it. So there's a lot of different security levels in ACT that will allow you to lock out people from certain fields and whole accounts if you want to as well. And again, this feature is only available in ACT Premium. ACT Pro does not have this. User fields. This is a tab that just has a bunch of blank fields called User 1 through User 10. This has been here since the beginning, so we don't want to get rid of it. Obviously, people have been using this. They've just been putting stuff in here. So, people use this just to put in data. I don't really recommend that because it's called User 1. If you're putting a social security number in here, you just have to know and let everyone on your team know this is where you're putting your social security numbers. However, it's a lot easier, in my opinion, to go create a social security number field and place it in the layout wherever you want. Again, there's tutorials on doing all that, or Keystroke can help you design your layout, get the fields you want placed where you want them, and all that. All right, these other tabs are just some tabs that I have created. So I'm not going to really go through any of these other tabs. You know, I've got Act Demo. When I do demos for people, I put the link in here and who it's for and other stuff. So again, highly customizable. Do whatever you want with this based on your industry. All right, so that's everything I wanted to talk about as far as everything on the contact screen and the contact layout. There's a lot to know, and that's why we kind of made this first training seminar to just kind of let you explore this and see all the things that you can do on the contact screen. We do have about 10 minutes left, so I want to kind of touch on a little bit of the stuff over here in this left navigation pane. A lot of stuff to go over here. I'm just going to touch on the main things that people use on a day-to-day basis. So groups. This is one of my favorite features in ACT. I'm going to go ahead and click on groups right here. This is an area that will allow you to lump together different types of contacts based on some similar criteria. So for instance, here's my Arizona group. All these contacts you see live in Arizona or have an address in Arizona. And I know that because I've created a rule. I just clicked that Add Remove Contacts button on the Contact tab in Groups, and now I get this window that allows you to manually add people to groups by clicking this button and get a whole list of everyone and just manually put people in here, or use this, Dynamic Members. This is a great tool. This will allow ACT to automatically put people in this group or automatically take people out of this group based on a rule. So this rule on this group states, if on a contact record, the state field contains the word Arizona or AZ, because then someone might type it in differently, then put that contact into this group automatically. And that's how people are added automatically. So everyone in this group, their state field equals AZ or Arizona. So if I were to go into this record and change their state field from Arizona to something else, this person would automatically be removed from this group without you having to do anything, because they no longer meet the criteria where the state has to equal AZ or Arizona. So you could think of a lot of ways to use this. I mean, anything can be done with this. And I use this for email marketing. That's kind of what I have these groups set up. If I want to send out an email marketing blast to everyone in Arizona, I don't have to go into my database to try to find everyone in Arizona. I can be sure that they're all listed right here in this group. And now I can send an email marketing blast out to this group, everyone in Arizona. Question, why have Arizona group versus doing a lookup on Arizona? Either way works. If you do not have this Arizona group, you have to go do a lookup. I don't have to do a lookup now. All I have to do is go to Arizona, and there's my customers. I don't have to go and do a lookup. So I've saved myself a bunch of steps by doing this rather than going and doing a lookup on Arizona. And it could be anything. And it could be very complex queries. I mean, I could create a query here for this group that says, show me everyone in Arizona, where the state field's Arizona, and the shirt color field equals green, and their phone number starts with 480, and their age is 49. All those people show up in this group. Do you want to go create a lookup for that every time? I certainly don't. So I would create the lookup here and save it on the group. It's a lot easier. Question here. How do you export group to Excel? Now, that's a great question. People ask that all the time. So what you have to do is go into your group like this and then create a lookup of this group. So there's a couple different ways to do that. I can go up to lookup. I believe that's where it is. No, it's going to be groups. Nope, not there. Oh, yeah, create lookup. So now I can click this create lookup button right here, and it will then create the lookup for the group, and it'll put all these people in a list view, which then you can export to Excel. And right now, you know, I appear to be having a problem accessing this data. You know what? My VPN just went down. Ah, there it comes. Comes back up. Hopefully you are all still connected. It looks like I had a little glitch there. but I'm back. Can you all still hear me and see my screen? Anyone? Yes, yes, yes. Thank you. Great. Okay. So I was talking about exporting a group to Excel. Great question. So what you have to do is go into the group and then create a lookup with that button up here, group and create lookup. And there's other ways to do it too. I can actually right click here and say create lookup. This is going to now go into contacts. As you can see, it created that lookup of the people in that group, and now I can click export to Excel. A lot of people ask that. Great question. All right, we got about 5 minutes left here. Let me see if there's something else I want to go over. I didn't really get to everything I wanted to here today, but I think I touched on a lot. Hopefully, I've given you all some insight and some kind of tips and tricks on maybe how to use ACT a little more efficiently. Companies is very similar to groups, but these are true company records. So instead of just group information, you can see it's got all the company information with the ability of linking contacts to this company. And the beauty of this is all the data from these contact records roll up to this company view. So here under the company record, I can click notes and see all of the notes that are attached to all of these contacts in one place. That's a great thing. So I don't really have to go through every contact one at a time to see what's happening at a company level view. I can get that view right here. Look at all the sales opportunities linked to all those contacts and or the company itself, and everything else. So this is a great place to kind of get a company, an overview of a company record and everything that's happened at a company level based on the contacts that are linked to that company. Someone just asked me how dynamic members are created. So let me show you that again. In groups, you click your group and then you click the contact tab and then you click this add remove contacts button right here. This will bring open this window, which has two ways to add people. By clicking this contact button, this will allow you to add people manually. I don't prefer to do that. I like the dynamic membership. So here you can click edit criteria and then start creating the criteria that you want. So every line can be added. I added this line just basically by saying what field name, state, going down and choosing state, operator I wanted, which was contains, and then I typed in Arizona in the value and I added that list, which added this line. But I also wanted a second line because I know some people type in AZ instead of Arizona. So I wanted to capture those two. So I added a second line the same way, but used AZ instead of Arizona. And now we have two lines for Arizona or AZ. That's how dynamic groups are created. And again, this can be very complex. You can create a very complex query here of whatever you want to see based on anything in ACT. It's a great feature. Now I don't have to go do a lookup because it's already created here. I can just go to the group and see all those people that match that lookup. Okay, that's about all the time we've got for today. I wish I could have gotten through more. There were a lot of questions. But we will be having these presentations every month, second Thursday of the month, so you can watch that on our website and sign up for the next one. That will be second Thursday of next month. And let me just finish by thanking everyone for attending this here today. I'm Greg Davis. Here is our website, keystroke.ca. If you have additional questions or want to go sign up for the next training session, certainly go to that website. A lot of good stuff there to sign up for this next training session. Get in touch with sales, get in touch with support, all through that website right there. It looks like we got 1 minute left, and it looks like there may be another question. Let me see if this is a question. Oh, thank you. Someone just saying I did a great job on that. So thank you again. I appreciate that, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day. And we will see you in this next training session.